This video is about extraversion and of course its relevance for innovative entrepreneurship. Maybe on the previous video explaining the major domain dimensions, the major dimensions of the Big Five model, I already explained to you that extraversion, well, actually that's the basics. Entrepreneurship starts with initiative, being self-directed, being assertive, being very interested into the outside world. Being more introverted, which means you're scoring lower. Lower means 1, 2, 3, 4 is below the average. Which means you're not sociable, but you prefer to work by yourself. You're not so much interested in interaction. Well, entrepreneurship is very much about interaction. By instance, networking, especially inspirational networking, and seeking contact, intensive contact with the outside world, is the basics of detecting business opportunity. Listening to people, interacting with people, getting this kind of a synergy. Talking to people means that you together in the interaction you create ideas. Well, that's exactly what extraversion is about. If your test reveals lower scores, 1, 2 and 3, well, start with the basics. It's mostly important to say it doesn't mean you're not social, but start with being self-directed, showing initiative, going to the outside world, seeking contact, and taking care that you don't isolate yourself by being a little bit socially withdrawn. And it doesn't mean you're not social, but you rather prefer to be by yourself. And of course, that means you're not so self-directed. So which dimensions, which sub-dimensions, we call them facets, are embedded in this major dimension extraversion? It starts with friendliness. It sounds very friendly. If you have lower scores, it means you approach people in not such a cohesive way. Let me just take an example. By instance, if you go networking to test your model, your business model, you would approach, if you have with lower scores, you would approach, listen, I'd like to talk to you about my business model. People with higher scores approach people with, hey, listen, I'd like to talk to you about my business model. So non-verbally you express, I'm interested in you and let's get some ideas expressed together in interaction. Yes? The second one after friendliness is sociability. And especially with lower scores, it doesn't mean you're not social. It means you gain less from interaction. However, entrepreneurship and interacting with others is quite important. Especially you have your ideas, but then you have to go to the outside world. Like there's this very famous model called design thinking. It says, okay, if you have developed ideas, immediately seek contact with the outside world and get feedback. What ideas are, when you express your ideas, your business ideas, what ideas arise with my people I interact with my stakeholders? So sociability. It means there's a synergy while you're interacting with others. Well, then there is the third sub-dimension is called assertiveness. Well, actually that's being very self-directed. Sometimes it's labeled as dominance, which sounds a bit negative, but it means when initiative and social interaction is demanded, it comes out of yourself. So you're self-initiated. Yes? And of course, assertiveness is quite important. However, this form of assertiveness is quite, that's why it's also called dominated, goes by a strong perspective on your own issues. So things you find important. So if you're very high on assertiveness, it means you could lose the contact, you could lose your sensitivity for the issues which are important for the other party you're interacting with. Yes? Also, if you're very high on assertiveness, high on dominance, it could mean you overrule others. Well, I don't have to explain to you which negative sides are on overruling others. Okay, then there's this pace of living. Well, it's very, very important also for yourself to be enthusiastic, to be energetic, to have this higher pace of living. If you're lower, take care that you put enough energy in your plans. Enough energy and enthusiasm in realizing your plans, and especially if you approach others, customers, stakeholders, by instance for inspirational networking, well, you got to be energetic to convince them that it's interesting, that you're an interesting person to talk to. Well, the fifth is excitement seeking, and that's a difficult one. If you're very, very low, then you're very scared to take risks. Well, entrepreneurship is taking risks. However, it is very much about taking calculated risks and being proactive and looking into the future, which risks are accompanied with your business strategy. So if you're very high, then you could took risks which you afterward regret. So you're too risk seeking, yes? And there's this principle, we call it affordable loss. Well, if you score very, very high, make a worst case scenario and calculate for yourself, these risks I'm taking, are they worth it? Can I afford them? And are there maybe strategies which are less risky to reach my goals? Yeah, so very low but also very high scores on excitement seeking are dysfunctional. Very low is 1, 2, 3, and very high is 8 and 9. Okay, and here's the last one, which is very, very important. It is positive outlook. Maybe let's take the example of John de Mol, this television tycoon who invents very original TV formats like The Voice of Holland, which is sold to Germany, England, America, and which has been a great success. Positive outlook means that you have a positive outlook on business opportunities. If John de Mol's outlook would be negative, like people don't like singers, singer is just a kind of a flat entertainment, but John de Mol has a positive outlook. He says, well, people are excited by attention, people are excited by a good voice, and they want to see if this jury of pop stars turns their chair. So he knows that people are excited about seeing people being judged, especially talented amateurs. So he has this really great opportunity with his positive outlook. Is very important for detecting and seeing business opportunity. Right? Friendliness, being cohesive, sociable for synergy, dominance, assertiveness to be self-directed and assertive, especially in negotiation. Pace of living is being energetic, excitement seeing, take care is risk taking, low scores and very high scores are dysfunctional, and positive outlook is a positive way of looking at human behavior, very important for detecting business opportunities.